Hello everyone. Today we are starting with a very basic, very core subject of computer science engineering or information technology engineering, that is your operating system. Okay, so this is an introduction class with operating system and we will proceed thoroughly with every class. Okay, so what is an operating system? To know this, you have to first know basic two things. Okay, first one is an operating system is a system software. It is a system software. And the second thing that you know about operating system is that it is an interface between a hardware and the user. Okay, so it is an interface between a user, that is you or me, and the hardware. Okay, and the hardware. So let us first explore the second point. So suppose as a user you want to use some application. Okay, you want to use some application. Okay, you are an user, there are n numbers of user 1, user 2, and so on. There are n number of users and the user want to use the application. Okay, so application means, suppose let us assume you are using an application that is MS Word. Okay, and you want to print a file in MS Word. Through what do you want to print a file in MS Word? Through your hardware device, that is a printer. Okay, so hardware consists of what? A hardware consists of different types of devices, like it can consist of CPU, it can consist of different input output device, it can consist of your RAM. So a hardware consists of all these things. Okay, so now what happens, an user cannot directly use this or access this hardware. Okay, so for accessing this hardware, what does it needs? It needs an interface. This is an interface. And what is this interface? This interface is an operating system. So what does the operating system does? The operating system acts as an interface or a middle layer between your application, that is the user, and the hardware. Okay, now why do you need a operating system? Because if there was no operating system, the user, if the user had to use, suppose you had, what I said, you had taken an example that you had to print a document, so for that you need a printer. Okay, so the user, if there was no operating system and it has to use a printer, it has to write a separate program for the printer. Suppose it had to use some other input output device, or it has to use a CPU. For everything individually, it had to, the user have to write a program. Okay, so to overcome this difficulty or this disadvantage, we can say we have introduced an operating system which acts as an interface between the user and the hardware. Okay, and the operating system itself is what? It is itself a software, system software. So we'll learn about this, what is a system software and why the operating system is known as a system software. Before doing this, let us see that what is a software? If you all know what is a software is nothing but a set of program plus documentation. Okay, it is a set of program plus documentation. So let us see what is a software. So a software is nothing but a set of program. Okay, set of tested program, rather I would say set of tested program plus documentation. Okay, so documentation, you can say, just like an user manual. When you buy any electronic device like a washing machine or a microwave or even your phone, you get an user manual how to use it. So that is the documentation part, and it is a set of tested program. Okay, so it is a set of tested program. So this is a software. Now software are again of two types. The first type is your application software. Okay, and the second type is your system software. Okay, this is your system software. Now what is an application software? This application software is the one that is designed to fulfill specific user requirement. Suppose you have to fulfill, we are the user, to fulfill your specific requirement, user requirement, these softwares are made. Like you want to message someone, for that you have WhatsApp, okay, or you want to write a file, you want to document a file, you want to print that document, you have MS Word, okay. So these are application software, these are made just to fulfill specific user requirement, okay. This cannot run, this is one point, application softwares cannot run on its own, application software cannot run on its own, okay, cannot run on its own. So they strictly require system software. As we have seen in our previous example, when the user was using an application software, it cannot run on its own, the application software cannot run its own, and an OS was introduced, right? Do you remember? User was using application software, there was an application and it wants to access what? It wants to access an hardware, but since it cannot access an hardware directly, the application software cannot access the hardware directly, so an OS was introduced. And what is an OS? The OS is an system software. So we have to remember that whenever we want to access and whenever an application software want to access an hardware or it wants to run, it cannot run on its own, it will always need a system software, okay. Example of if I give you example of application software, it will be like MS Word, you have Google Chrome, you have Excel, you have VLC media player, you have Adobe Photoshop, okay. And now if we come, these are the different types of application software that we are using. And now if we want to know that what is a system software, so what is a system software? We all know that OS is a system software, but if we want to know more broadly that what is a system software, so what is a system software? So a system software, it controls internal operation and manages the hardware, okay. So basically it controls internal operation and manages the hardware. As we have all seen that whenever we want to print a document through MS Word is an application software, so okay, and we want to print a document, okay, we want to print a document using a printer, which is an hardware, okay. So what, with the help of what we are doing it? With the help of an OS, which is a system software. So what is the system software doing? It is controlling the internal operations, okay, and it is managing the hardware resources, it is managing the printer, which is a hardware resource, okay. Or it can also manage the CPU, it can manage memory storage, everything else, okay. So example, if you want to know about system software, example is obviously OS, like MS Windows, iOS, Android. Also it has like various utility programs are also comes under system software, like your antivirus software. Your antivirus software is a system software, okay. So those are system software, or different device drivers, those are your system software, okay. Now we have to know what is, there are some good points for OS, that is a OS has to be, OS is used. Why do we use OS? We have seen in this diagram, as we all have seen in this diagram, that what does the OS do? The OS is used as an interface between an user and an hardware, within an application user and an hardware. We are using this OS. But why are we using this OS? What is the main purpose of using this OS? So the main purpose of using this OS is, number one, if I say, is throughput, okay. Number one is throughput, and number two, if you want to use, is convenience. The OS is making your printing through Microsoft Word, which is an application software, very convenient, very easily. You go to Microsoft Word, you type your document, you just click on the print button and your document is printed. So it is used for convenience. Like if I give you an example of a convenient, very convenient OS, that is Windows, okay. And next is throughput, okay. So what is throughput? First we have to know what is throughput. Throughput is nothing but the number of tasks executed per unit time. This is your throughput, okay. So every unit of time, per second or per unit of time, the number of tasks that is being executed is known as throughput, okay. So a OS should have good convenience as well as good throughput, okay. Just like Windows give us the best convenience. Which software gives us the best throughput? If you want to know, sorry, which OS gives you the best throughput? That is your Linux. Okay, in Linux the tasks are executed per unit time much faster than it is executed in OS. Okay, so Linux gives us the as a good throughput. So these are the two main points that is very important for an OS to have. Okay, so this was the introduction to an operating system. I'm coming back in the next class with functionalities of your operating system. I have notes of all this whatever I have taught you in details. If you want to get the notes, there is an Instagram channel in the details. Subscribe, follow to that channel and just message me in that channel. I'll provide you on the notes. And if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you everyone.